MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. I want to talk about the Fauci hearings yesterday, which I watched, and very emotional to watch. The Republicans did a great job, I got to tell you. But those hearings yesterday, it was it was so um, sad and emotional for me. I don't know what it was like for you, but a lot of these things that Fauci had done and that the Democrats, the liberals, the left had done, it's not that I have forgotten about them, but I guess I've chosen to not think about them too much because it was so horrific. And the Republicans, who just did an incredible job calling Fauci out yesterday, and I just, Fauci at first when Rand Paul ejected his scummy lawyer out of the hearing, Fauci looked terrified without his attorney there. He looked terrified, and you could see his hands were shaking, and he was holding onto the pen, the ink pen, a lot because he was trying to stop his hands from shaking, but his hands were shaking like a madman, which is appropriate. And then the I was watching his face, and at first he was nervous. That's why the hands were shaking. Then he seemed to become angry, like, how dare you? Don't you know who I am? How dare you question me and talk to me this way? And then then the third phase, he just was tuned it all out. And I was just listening to everything that the Republicans asked him about. The Democrats, shameful. I'll talk about them in a minute. But I was thinking about what so many people went through and during that time because of Fauci, who has the most severe case of Napoleon syndrome, perhaps in recorded history. And I was thinking about a lot of things, like all of the people who died in hospitals that weren't allowed to say goodbye to their families, and I mean, I was thinking about that because, yesterday when I was on the air yesterday, around 8:15 or so, I got a phone call. Someone in my immediate family they're in the hospital right now. They were rushed to the hospital, and they called me from the ambulance, and I went to break, and I called them during the break, and I talked to them and the paramedic that was treating them in the ambulance, and they don't even remember it. They had a stroke. Someone had a stroke in my immediate family, and they're in the hospital right now. And and of course my mind was on that when I had to do the last 45 minutes of the show. They're okay, but they still had a stroke. And when I was watching the Fauci hearings, and I was hearing these stories of people who died all alone in the hospital because Fauci wouldn't let people come in and say goodbye to their families, it was really, like, emotional for me, and I just could not imagine what it was like for the families or the person who died. To die all alone like that is so sad, just so sad, right? It certainly is. I mean, can you imagine what it must be like for those people? They're in a hospital room alone, dying. The family, whether they're even allowed in the hospital, a lot of them probably did everything they could to get back to say goodbye to their mom, their dad, their grandma, their grandpa, their spouse, and they couldn't. I mean, could you think about that? I mean, that it just was just so it's just so sad. And my wife, she was telling me, I'd forgotten about this, but one of my wife's doctors, works in a hospital, and he had told her that he's a conservative guy. Well, he's a doctor, but he's conservative, and he was talking about it was so hard for him in COVID because they wouldn't let families come back. And he said these people, they were dying all alone, talking to their families on iPads. Can you imagine what that must have been like for people? And hopefully nobody watching this had that experience of having to talk to their mom, their dad, grandma, grandpa over an iPad on FaceTime while they're in a hospital bed dying alone. I just couldn't imagine. And I got to tell you, that man is just a monster. A monster. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen I don't think there's an individual in modern history that is responsible for so much horror that was not like a government official, right? I mean, like what he's responsible for, what he was involved in, people have done that are like leaders of countries and of armies, but he's not a leader of any of that. It's very emotional for me. I don't know how you guys felt. It was hard to watch. And the Democrats who put Fauci up on this pedestal like he's the most honorable man who's ever lived. I was appalled by it. I had to mute that. When they came on, I muted the TV. I couldn't listen to those Democrats praise Fauci. I just couldn't do it. And even the Democrats had been praising him all these years, but after the diary came out, to still praise the man after the diary? Democrats have no soul. Democrats are soulless. They're power-hungry tyrants. They think they know better than for you. They know better about what you should do than you know, right? They know what's best, and you should not question it. Tell you another thing I was thinking about. There's an animal rescue here in South Florida that have a couple of thousand of beagles that they rescued from one of those Fauci animal testing facilities. I mean, the level of cruelty by that man has no limits. And I think he might be embarrassed that the diary became public, maybe. But I don't think he has any regrets. Do you? Yes or no? Do you think Fauci has any regrets? I don't think so. Nope. See, I saw someone talking about this once. When it comes to narcissists are psychotic, right? There's a lot of narcissists out there in our society, and this one doctor, it was like a self-test as to whether or not you're a narcissist, right? And he said, if you ever feel guilt or about something, or ever think you were wrong about something, you're not a narcissist. Narcissists have no guilt, and they never feel wrong or that they've done anything wrong, right? And I didn't see anything other than a little bit of embarrassment over the diary becoming public, but I didn't hear any regret at all from him. I mean, he's just... It was like I was watching BTK or something up there. I mean, it was just like he's just a total narcissistic psychopath, right? And he, and one of the things I was thinking about is he probably lives in a bubble where he's never exposed to people calling him out, right? So being confronted like that, it's probably a new thing, because you might think that everywhere he goes, people are calling him names and stuff. No, I don't think he travels in those circles. I think he travels in a bubble where everywhere he goes, people are thanking him and congratulating him and taking selfies and shaking his hand. You know, he's around liberal lunatics. It would be my guess, wouldn't you? So, you know, and that was part of his anger yesterday. He's not used to being called out like that. I know it's crazy. It certainly is crazy. Those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe. Now, my lead story today on the morning show, I'm going to some big updates out of the war with Iran, and you know the press are on just a demoralizing attempt to demoralize the American people and make us think that we've lost a war and are losing a war that we've won. You know, we have won this war with Iran. We won it on day one, by the way. You know, so you know, the idea that we're losing to Iran, you know, I can give you an example. There's all these stories that we're running out of missiles, we're running out of rockets, we're running out of ammo. Are you kidding me? You know, first off, how do they know? The government doesn't tell the press how many weapons we have, how much ammo, how many missiles and rockets we have. It's all classified stuff. But they never talk about the Iranians running low on weapons. You know, they're not launching all that much, and we continue to blow up their crap. So, you know, this idea that we're running out of ammo, and you never hear the media report that the Iranians are running out of ammo, it shows how fake the news is, right? Give me a break. You know, there's a story today I'm going to lead into about China rearming Iran. I'll get into that on the show this morning, not now, but I mean, come on. Who's more likely to be running out of weapons, the United States or Iran, right? Exactly, Iran. But, you know, since the Vietnam War, the media always root for America's enemy in a war. They never root for the United States in a war. Even the war on terror, they were helping the other side. Iraq, they were helping the other side. In the Gulf War in 1991, we got some good coverage, but other than that, they never root for us in a war because the media are liberals, and the liberals hate America. That's true. All you hear from Democrats, all you hear from liberals is how bad this country is. This is the greatest country that ever was and is. I mean, that's just it. But they can't let that compute into their mind. The America haters. And now they have all these foreigners running for offices that they're electing all over the country. Yeah, liberals are delusional. That's right. Mm-hmm. Welcome, everyone. If you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe, all right? My name's Brian, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Mm-hmm. Indeed it is. Now, the next stream, I'll be in the studio taking your live calls. I can't believe it's Thursday already. I'll tell you, I still, this has been like an emotional week, right? I still can't believe Lindsey Graham's gone. You know? But watching Fauci yesterday was really emotional for me. It really was. That was just a terrible time. And, The liberals always talk about defunding the police and that, the police were working with the liberals during that period. Yep. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Does anyone else drink coffee every day that really doesn't like coffee? I really don't care for coffee. I've just learned to tolerate it. I just drink it. Yes, liberals are sick. No doubt about it, pink shirt. Absolutely. Liberals are very sick. I will agree with you on that. I just drink it for the caffeine. No other purpose. But to consume something every day that I don't like, I guess I've just gotten used to it. When's the last time the Democrats did something good that was pro-American? Can you think of it? I can't think of anything. The last time the Democrat Party did something that helped the American people. And when I say the American people, I mean the United States of American people, not the South American, Latin American community, those kind of, not North American people, not South American people, United States of America people. Never. That's exactly right. I can't think of a single thing the Democrats have ever done that was pro-American. Isn't that something? You can't think of a single thing. You know why? Because they haven't done anything that benefits the American people, the Democrats. Nope. They hate the American people, especially now. The Democrat Party establishment, they feel betrayed by the American people for, not supporting them. So many millions have been red-pilled. That's why they were importing tens of millions of illegals into the country to replace the disloyal Americans that don't support them anymore. I mean, look what Obamacare was a disaster. It was a disaster, Obamacare. Now, I asked for good things, not negative things. No, Obamacare is a negative that the Democrats brought us. We're looking for positive. There's not a positive thing that the Democrats have done for the American people. Nope. Absolutely, Scott. Make Australia great again. Absolutely. I'd love to hear the liberals in here. Something that the Democrats have done that was good and positive and helped the people of the United States. Think about that. That should be an easy question. Obamacare destroyed the private health care industry. I'm uninsured because of Obamacare. When Obamacare came in, my daughter's health insurance skyrocketed. Mine skyrocketed to the point where it's too much money. I'll have insurance in 10 years when I qualify for Medicare. Right? The United States has the best healthcare system in the world. That's why people from around the world come here to partake in it. You don't hear about world leaders, I got to fly to Canada for that life-saving heart surgery. It's to the United States. We have the best doctors. I remember when Liam Neeson's wife years ago, like 20 years ago, died, right? She had a head injury in Canada, and they had no MRI machine nearby to do an MRI. Here in the United States, there's an MRI machine every couple of miles, right? Europe sucks. Their healthcare sucks. Their whole system sucks. What does Europe know? I mean, Europe has surrendered their entire continent to the Muslim invaders. I mean, you're talking about, basically it's like the Middle East now, Europe. Totally conquered, occupied Islamic territory. They finally lost the Crusades, Europe. It's true. You know, in the United States, we don't care what people in other countries think. We just don't. Americans do not care what people in other countries think. Yeah, basically, Europe is two things: a tourist trap and a Muslim continent. That's it. That's it. I know it's sad. It's sad. They colonized the Americas, so but Europe has fallen. It's conquered territory, a lost civilization that's being wiped off the face of the earth. Mm-hmm. That's right, Juanita. Truism. Correct. Truism. I tell you, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. On the next stream, which will be not too long from now, I'll be in the studio taking live calls. And the caffeine will be kicked in by then. It hasn't quite kicked in yet. Remember, this is my Starbucks with, do they have the tag? Oh, they don't have the tag on it, but it's got 5 shots of espresso. Mm-hmm. And it is needed. And thankfully, tomorrow is Friday. But I'll be taking your live calls. All opinions are welcome. I'm going to start talking about how the media are trying to get us to lose the war that we've already won, right, against Iran. They're trying to get us to at least think we've lost the war that we've won. And you're welcome to call me on your reaction to the Fauci hearings as well. But I don't know. I just, I was pretty proud of the Republican senators yesterday. I thought they were spectacular, weren't they? The Republican senators were very, very good, especially that guy from Ohio. Who the F do you think you are? That guy's great. Yeah, Moreno, he sadly he's originally from Colombia, so he's not a natural-born U.S. citizen, so he can't be president or vice president. But he's an up-and-coming star, and even though he's the senator from Ohio, he was raised right here in South Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, and so he grew up in the same circles I grew up in. He's a couple years older than me. Maybe 3 or 4 years older than I am, but we traveled in the same circles, as did my wife, because my wife and I both grew up in the same town. I was shocked. I looked him up. I never really heard of him before. I don't think I ever heard of him before. And when I saw him call out Fauci, who the F do you think you are? I looked him up. That guy's awesome. He's from Colombia. So for all you liberals that think MAGA hate immigrants, that's not the case at all. We like legal immigrants that contribute in positive ways to our society, not illegals that kill people on the road, take jobs, and rape and murder our women. We like law-abiding legal immigrants that contribute positive things. That's right. Big difference. They want to say we hate immigrants. There's not a MAGA person out there that doesn't love Senator Moreno today, right? He's the best. He is the best. Mm-hmm. He went to high school right down the street from my high school. But he's like 3 or 4 years ahead of me, so... I graduated in 89, so he probably graduated 85, 86, something like that. But there's no doubt we were traveling in the same circles as teenagers. And now look at him, making Florida proud. Fish sticks, he's so far behind in the polls. Fishback's not even a viable candidate. The only viable Republican is Byron Donalds. The other ones are so far behind, they're not even in the running. I was surprised the courts let fish sticks stay on the ballot, but they did. That's good. Yeah, I don't trust fish sticks. I think he's probably an undercover lib, right? I don't trust that guy. Don't trust him at all. Nope. Yeah, there's something up with that guy. Yeah, fish sticks. That's what I call fishback. Fish sticks is good, you know. I'm sure he grew up hearing that. I'm sure I'm not the first person to call him fish sticks. Man, I've almost had this whole thing already. I'm going to be highly caffeinated for today's show. I need to be. I've got a long day today. I'm starting hormone replacement therapy today. So when I get off the air, I'm going to the doctor. You'll hear me talk about them on the show. They're a new sponsor that's coming on. So I'm starting my hormone replacement therapy today. That's right, taking the advice of Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Well, what the Democrats were trying to do was transport Latin America to the United States, right? That's exactly what they were doing. But we'll take care of them. It's true. I mean, Biden brought 25 million illegals here. How many did Obama bring in his time, right? The Autopin administration, 25 million in those 4 years. Well, all men, you know, women go through menopause. Men, there's a male equivalent to menopause. It's called andropause. I call it menopause, but it's called andropause. And as men grow older, your testosterone levels go down. But I'll tell you this, being Gen X, even as testosterone levels go down as we age, I promise you, my testosterone's higher than these liberal Gen Zers in here. All the soy boys. They need it more than anyone. That's right. It's true. It's true. So not one Democrat could in the chat could give us one positive accomplishment that the Democrats have done for the American people. Not one. Shocker, because there are none. That's the truth. That's the truth. If you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, because the next stream I'll be live in the studio in like 20 minutes taking your calls. Yes, welcome everyone, welcome. Now, there's nothing positive that's come out of the Democrats. Think about this, you know, the Democrats own slaves. Every black man who was lynched in America was lynched by a Democrat. Every black man who was lynched in America was a Republican. Think about that. Every black man in America who was lynched by a Democrat. True. Mm-hmm. That's right. Mm-hmm. The Tuskegee experiments, Democrats. How many babies were aborted after Roe v. Wade? That's all the Democrats. Think about it. The Democrats brought us this war in Ukraine. How many people have died in the Ukraine-Russia war? Remember, Biden told Putin he could come into Ukraine, just a matter of how far. Remember that? He told Putin he could come in and invade Ukraine on television. Democrats brought us that. That's right. Fauci's a Democrat, right? Nothing good has come out of the Democrat Party. Nothing. Nope. Before the invasion, Biden, when the conflict was heating up, Biden said that Russia could come on in. Right? It's just a matter of how far. So Biden told Putin he could invade Ukraine. Probably to feed his military-industrial complex donors. It's true. It's true. Keep up. This is a place where people who are informed come. We can't dumb down the show and get the crayons and the fat pencils out every day for you liberals out there. But it's true. And remember when Obama was president, they took a huge chunk of Ukraine. Putin took Crimea, which was part of Ukraine. So Obama and Biden, Democrats, totally responsible for the Ukraine-Russian war, allowed it to happen. And then they blame Trump for that, because they make a mess like this with, I don't know how many people have died in this war. And they just don't care. Why do you want to talk about Alex Jones? He's out there trashing Trump all the time, he's so desperate to be relevant and have attention. Did anyone get an invite to Marjorie Trader Greene's wedding in Vegas to Brian Glenn? I'm going to show them on the stream today. I was looking at the marriage photos of Marjorie Trader Greene and Brian Glenn. That looks so forced to me, right? It was so forced. What's her story? Was she ever MAGA? I mean, did those wedding pictures look like a true happy couple? Looked very fake and forced to me. I'm surprised she didn't have some big wedding in Costa Rica on the beach. She's a homewrecker. Brian Glenn was a happily married man with a great thing going with the Right Side Broadcasting. She stole him from his wife, destroyed his home, broke his home, destroyed her own family. She's a homewrecker, right? And then they moved to Costa Rica. She says she's true MAGA. She's the American patriot. How many patriots moved to other countries? I don't know of any. It won't last. Well, Brian Glenn will be in trouble because all the money that Marjorie Trader Greene has made was before they got married, so it's not marital property. And he left his job and everything else, so he'll have nothing. If she dumps him, if she meets some hunk, right, in Costa Rica, and dumps Brian Glenn, he's got nothing. Do you think that Brian Glenn and Marjorie Trader Greene have a prenup? What do you guys think? Yes or no? Did Brian Glenn sign a prenup with Marjorie Trader Greene? Oh, Chrissy asked the question at the same time. Oh, I'm sure he did. She's his sugar mama. She's his sugar mama. He just doesn't look like he used to. He does not look like he used to. Brian Glenn just looks like a worn down man, doesn't he? Looks just worn down. He does look awful. He does not look well. Nope. No. and she looks crazed to me. She definitely looks crazed. Make sure you subscribe, guys, if you're new to the channel. All right. Guilt-ridden, yeah, perhaps. That's very possible. Guilt-ridden, I would say it's a good, strong possibility. Yeah, and the next stream, guys, if you're new, the next stream right after this, it's already set up. It's about the 400 rockets that China's giving Iran. I'll be in the studio taking live calls, all right? That's right. I think Marjorie Trader Green looks totally insane. I think she looks insane. I think Brian Glenn looks like hell. He looks like he's in a constant state of being hungover, doesn't he? He's aged since he's been with Marjorie Trader Green. He's aged a lot, really, doesn't he? The bags under his eyes. You know, wait until they get. It's only a matter of time before they start getting too much cosmetic work. I mean, his eyes aren't even open. They're so, like he's got slits he's looking through. Brian Glenn, yep. I used to like him. That's right, Chrissy. That's right. I think she misses the fame and attention. That's why they posted all those wedding photos. They're desperate for attention. Desperate for attention. I don't think it'll last either. Nope. Not at all. I mean, and what kind of couple brings Massey over with his shady past with the ladies? Who hangs out with Massey? Morally vacuous people hang out with Massey. Oh my goodness. If I was in the presence of Massey, I would be afraid. I'd go to the doctor and get a checkup. Wouldn't you? Oh my goodness, I'd feel dirty. I'd have to take a shower. But if she dumps Brian Glenn for some boy toy bartender in Costa Rica, he's screwed. He'll probably go back to his wife, whine into his wife, who I hope Brian Glenn's wife is remarried to a nice man. Yeah. Well, guys, listen, I got to take off and get to the studio. Oh, my goodness, I looked at the time. So if you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you in a few minutes.